Welcome to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso. Now, the thing is about what happened last night, it's called Sona, and the thing is, you know that we need to give you a dose of the latest news. We need to unpack it in the best way possible. These pages of these newspapers, they're not going to sort of get to jump out at you. We got Roi Simpson to do that. He is a news editor, a journalist extraordinaire. Some people say he's always on some sort of a special assignment, and today we're giving him carte blanche to tell us exactly what's in the headlines. Roi Simpson, an honor and a pleasure, my friend.
Morning, Carl.
Yes.
How's it?
I'm good. I like how you start with a chuckle because that was the entertainment provided on our screens when it comes to Sona last night. It was a huge thing. Apparently, it cost 8 million rand of our money to put together, which is great. But I'm looking at these papers over here, and I saw something quite significant just around some of the takeouts. But I feel like I'm not going to read them all. What are some of your takeouts from the State of the Nation address last night?
Generally really thin on detail.
Yes.
Quite a lot of it was underwhelming, to say the least. And then, of course, there's that one section where we're talking electricity crisis and too much detail, too much stuff happening. I mean, this over here, we need action. Be careful what you ask for, because we certainly got that. A lot more than we expected.
That headline, it actually says, no trust, no belief. We need action. Which is a lot of the sentiment around, which is, it's scary, to be honest with you. But as you said, there was a vague brushing over, and then there was a zoning and the load shedding, which was obviously the core issue with regard to the country and how it is literally strangling our economy. Now, in terms of the way the president is mitigating some of the electricity problems in the country, let's unpack the Minister of Electricity, state of disaster coming into play, and there also are some other facets that I think we need to know about.
Those two are definitely the key elements. They're going to throw a lot of money at diesel during this financial year. They've told us that to keep the lights on. And then it's those two big changes. I mean, the state of disaster, not just telling us that it's going to happen, but, here's the government gazette. It was actually, it happened while he was talking, and suddenly here we are. Good morning, it's a state of disaster now. And to be honest, we're not really clear on exactly what that looks like.
Well, we've had a past state of disaster, and that included curfews, and included a lot of the governmental initiation of certain rules that we just had to abide by because of a state of disaster. But now, what does a state of disaster look like when it comes to electricity? Like, is there going to be an electricity curfew? Because we've been experiencing that. Hello, it's called load shedding. So how does this work now?
Well, this is the thing we've yet to see. Firstly, let's say that at this stage in the game, Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma is back in the Prime Minister's role. She is able to rule by decree. This is the section of the Disaster Management Act where it defines what her powers are. And the wording in here is really, really vague.
I can see.
It basically gives her power to do almost anything, to curb movement, to redirect spending, which is going to be an important part of it, to put aside legislation that's hampering the efforts, it's another big thing.
Okay.
Man, given that, the only criterion that really comes into play here is that whatever decision she makes needs to rationally relate to the disaster. So, I mean, let's look at some doom scenarios. One could be, it's illegal to run your geyser between certain times of the day. The other could be mandating municipalities to put in those smart meters so that they can all turn your geysers off. Those kind of things would be well within the purview of this because it would make sense in terms of load shedding.
That's kind of scary if you think about it, because, I mean, it's a household, and there's a lot of things happening. But, of course, when it comes to state of disaster, we've experienced that before. There are there's a lot of resistance when this particular thing happens. But, I mean, that's what the papers are saying for now. Minister of Electricity, state of disaster. We've got a lot more to talk about when it comes to the State of the Nation. Of course, there is also a version of that in the US that we'll unpack with you with Roi Simpson in the next couple of minutes. So stick with us. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Expresso.
It's my Feel Good Breakfast Show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. This is Expresso here on S3. And in case you missed it, Roi Simpson and I have been unpacking a couple of newspaper headlines for you. We love to do this because it's just a great way of just waking you up with some of the information that you may have missed while you were sleeping. Sona, of course, that was last night. You may not have missed that. Lots of action over there. I was just chatting to Roi about state of disaster, which has been implemented and gazetted literally overnight. But there was also something called the Minister of Electricity in the presidency that I feel like we need to touch on before we put Sona to bed. Not that we can, but we'll try. What is that?
We're not sure. It's a newly created post. The one issue is that it's happening in the presidency, so it doesn't have parliamentary oversight, so red light number one. You also, for red light number two, you now have a situation where you have the state-owned enterprises minister, you have the energy minister, and now you've got this minister of electricity, all of them dealing with the same problem. And I just foresee bottlenecking happening there and territorialism, and I can see people not working together very well. These children do not play nicely in the sand, but necessarily with each other.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if I think about that particular Minister of Electricity, I think about so many other of South Africa's problems that could have been thrown a minister.
You know,
we've got a gender-based violence problem here. We've got so many more. Why are there no ministers over there? I feel like it just feels like, let's do something, let's appoint someone so the public can feel like something's being done.
I think so. I think you're looking at a face who can present whatever's going to be happening. And quite a lot of what's going to be happening might be unpalatable. This thing of moving money around and dodging legislation could take us to some quite dark, corrupt places. The car power ship deal is in the back of my mind here.
Oh, yeah.
And this would then be the face to sell this to us, which, that'll be the role.
So, I mean, we could talk about Sona at length, of course, like, people, on the stage as well, but we're not going to go there. I think the other State of the Nation address, but the US version happened as well with good old President Biden. Now, beyond the fact that, First Lady Jill Biden had a kiss that seemed to go viral more than anything else, I mean, what did you take out of the State of the Union?
Very domestic policy oriented, very much internal. And that was almost the messaging of what Biden was saying as well. It's America first. Part of that is a function of the fact that they also go to elections next year. So he needs to deal with those domestic issues. But fractious, eh? I mean, ours was fractious, theirs was fractious. Marjorie Taylor Greene standing up, calling him a liar to his face. I don't know if it's unprecedented, but that level of fractiousness is really unusual there. And the other thing I did notice was here's this 80-year-old, feisty, a pugilist in the ring, sparring with his opponents in the Senate. And you compare that with our 70-year-old president, looking very much like he's just delivering the results of the committee meeting. And that was the thing I noticed the most.
I feel like it's called family meeting conditioning. The way to stay calm and address people. Just pretend like the camera's on and nobody's responding. But we were. But, I mean, that's the US, of course. There's another international crisis afoot, and I just took a look. If I look at Turkey and Syria, we know that earthquake, it was terrible. Many, many lives lost. And in these headlines over here, I see that South Africa can make a difference. And a lot of the, people internationally are jumping in. A lot of the superpowers are coming through with some support. So what are we doing as SA to assist in what is a crisis of note of humanity?
Well, we're actually doing a fair amount, particularly through the agency of the NGO, The Gift of the Givers, who've sort of moved in really, really quickly. They've also done it the right way. They've coordinated with the Turkish embassy, because obviously you can have all these people there, but if they aren't in the right places, then it just becomes a mess. There are too many people getting in each other's way. I think one of the things I liked most about our response is that, if I understood Imtiaz Suleiman correctly, he was talking about the South African Police Service effectively lending them 5 sniffer dogs along with their handlers, because, of course, moving through the rubble, the sniffer dogs are much more effective than humans. And I thought that was lovely. I thought that was such a nice touch. You spoke about sort of the international community pulling in the same way as we have. And it's really, really nice. And it makes you feel that we're going places in as much as there's trouble in the global village, 2 houses are damaged, and the whole of the rest of the village pulls in to help. It's really uplifting.
I think that's the thing about these types of human tragedies, that we can all stick together. And if we do that, we'll have everything we'll ever need. And I think if we are to stay this way, perhaps there's a day where we can all bring things together and share in some policies that create equality and prosperity for all. But Roi Simpson, once again, saving the day with information. I don't know how he does it, but he is a journalist extraordinaire that I will go to every single day when it comes to these things. There were some more things over here, but they were all gossip. I'm not going to get to that now, but you'll get to some more entertainment right now on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. And a massive thanks once again to Roi.
It's my feel good breakfast show.
It is your feel-good breakfast show, Expresso, here on S3. And I had to keep Roi Simpson around for just one last look at Sona. I just had to go here. There were some things that were unanswered for me, and I saw a couple of headlines here. And I think the one thing that really gets me, Roy, is the fact that there was a red carpet at Sona. Now, I'm talking about impression and visuals here. We live in a country where we are suffering with regard to our economy. Yet, what showcases economic wealth, nothing does that like a red carpet.
Yeah.
So it's like you're showcasing all of this in your pocket on a red carpet, and then you're going to a Sona that says, we don't have money, we're making plans. Like, what do those visuals mean to you?
To me personally, it's almost like a report back to the shareholders. Here, look what I'm doing with your money. Really, that's what it feels like to me. It's a visceral, unhappy response to this. It seems pretentious and showy and sort of Hollywood competitive. And it has that nasty political edge of, look at my success, therefore I'm a smart person, therefore vote for me. And I don't like that kind of politics, especially in the circumstances we're in.
We have to take away that normalization that wealth is what you wear and what you drive and that sort of thing. I think I would love to have somebody come through in a metered taxi or a hailing cab, got out there and actually did the business, wearing something simple. That would be wonderful. But those visuals are also seen inside the State of the Nation address. And there was a massive elephant in the room with regard to the EFF storming the stage. Now, if anybody sees the viral clips, let's go back to that moment when the EFF stormed the stage. What exactly happened over there? What do you think was the catalyst for them to jump on?
I don't know that there was a catalyst that prompted them to do that. We've had the set piece, the preordained strategy of the not the motions of no confidence. They're implicit, I think.
Yeah.
But those points of order, just relentless until the point where obviously it now becomes something that needs to be dealt with. And you can kind of see they're refusing to move. Then there's this point in time, this moment where suddenly the whole party gets up at the same time. It feels like a coordinated set piece. Then they move towards the stage. And it's a bit argy-bargy, it's a bit messy at that stage. There's definitely people being pushed around and shoved a little. But there's no trigger moment. I didn't see anything visually that said, this suddenly incensed everyone ridiculously. This felt... well, it felt staged.
Well, I was going to say, because the way you literally strung that together like it was part of the script of a theatre production. And you know what it seems like is that there was a message in the WhatsApp group that said, now.
Absolutely. So it's competing theatre. So outside we have the theatre of look how wealthy and smart we are. Inside the EFF, all in their red overalls, they're not taking part in that theatre. The theatre they want is to show people how oppressed they are and how the system isn't working and they have the solution. Look, it did demonstrate an absolute disregard for parliamentary democracy. It certainly shows that they have no interest in it except as a means to an end.
Yeah.
But that thing of storming the stage was deliberate to get exactly the visuals we had. Remember that picture of the guy with that balaclava on, all dressed in khaki? It's the exact image of like a police state, and that's exactly what they want. They want people to see not the party of liberation, not the movement that's benign, but rather this power-hungry grouping that's got together and has now become literal power-hungry and is now using the police against ordinary people.
The theatre, and should we have theatre? Because, you know, they say South Africa is a movie right now. Do we need those visuals? I don't think so, but we've covered some very, very critical things. We're in a state of disaster, in case you just woke up. We have a Minister of Electricity. We have Biden doing the State of the Union, which was, you know, strangely aggressive in parts. We also have a lot of response to what is happening in Turkey as South Africa, so we should be proud of ourselves for that. So don't worry, not all is doom and gloom. There is some sort of collateral beauty when it comes to what we are trying to do to help the world. But of course, Roi Simpson, thank you so much for getting involved and of course unpacking all of the headlines. It's been an absolute journey, but we'll stay on top of things just for you on the Feel Good Breakfast Show.